Shadows of yesterday. Olivia Harrison tucked a stray strand of auburn hair behind her ear as she sealed the last moving box. The small apartment that had been their home for 5 years now stood bare, memories packed away in cardboard containers labeled with black marker. "Mom, is my dinosaur toy in here?" Noah asked, his small fingers tracing the edge of a box labeled Noah's room. "No, sweetheart. Remember we packed Mr. Rex in your special backpack? So you could keep him with you on the drive," Olivia replied, smiling at her son's worried expression. Noah's face brightened immediately. At 5 years old, he was the spitting image of his father. The same deep-set hazel eyes, the distinctive dimple in his left cheek when he smiled, and that determined set of his jaw. Every time Olivia looked at him, her heart swelled with both love and a dull ache of what could have been. "Are you excited about our new adventure?" she asked, kneeling to his level. "Yeah, will I make new friends?" "Will they like dinosaurs too?" "I'm sure they will. And you'll have the best teacher." Just like Ms. Patrice said in her letter. The promotion at Western Regional Hospital had been unexpected. Head nurse of the pediatric department with a substantial salary increase. After years of night shifts and overtime, struggling to balance motherhood with her career, Olivia couldn't pass up the opportunity. Riverdale was only 3 hours away, but it might as well have been another planet compared to the small town where Noah had spent his entire life. As the movers loaded the last of their belongings into the truck, Olivia's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Safe travels, darling. Remember, you can always come home if things don't work out. We miss you both already. Call when you arrive," Olivia sighed. Her parents had been her rock after Jonathan disappeared. They never said, "I told you so," even though they had warned her about dating the ambitious, restless boy with dreams too big for their small town. They had supported her decision to keep the baby when she discovered her pregnancy at 22, just months away from completing her nursing degree. The memory of telling Jonathan still burned like acid in her throat. They had been sitting in his car outside her apartment, the radio playing softly in the background. "I'm pregnant," she had said, her voice barely audible over the music. His face had drained of color, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Are you sure?" She had nodded, reaching for his hand, but he had pulled away. "I need some time to think," he had mumbled, staring straight ahead. That was the last time she saw him. No calls, no texts, no goodbye. Just silence that spoke volumes about how little she had meant to him. 6 years had passed since that night. 6 years of raising Noah alone, of answering his increasingly curious questions about why he didn't have a daddy like his friends, of creating a life that was full despite its missing piece. "Mom, can we go now?" Noah tugged at her sleeve, pulling Olivia back to the present. "Yes, baby. It's time." She took his small hand in hers, feeling its warmth and solidity, a reminder of all that was good in her world. The drive to Riverdale was filled with Noah's excited chatter and impromptu dinosaur facts. As the landscape changed from familiar to foreign, Olivia felt a strange mixture of apprehension and hope blossoming in her chest. Their new apartment was in a modern complex near the hospital. 2 bedrooms, a small balcony overlooking a community garden, and most importantly, within walking distance of Noah's new school. As they unloaded essentials for their first night, Noah ran from room to room, claiming spaces and imagining possibilities. Olivia watched him, his energy undiminished despite the long day. "Mom, I think I'm going to like it here," he declared, standing in the middle of his empty bedroom. "I think so too, sweetheart," she replied, hoping it was true. Later that night, with Noah finally asleep amid a fortress of boxes, Olivia stood on the balcony, gazing at the unfamiliar skyline. Somewhere in the vastness of this new city lay their future. New friends, new challenges, new beginnings. What she couldn't know was that the past she had carefully packed away was waiting just around the corner, about to collide with the present she had so painstakingly built. Chance Encounter's Jonathan Reed adjusted his tie before stepping onto the stage at Riverdale's annual Business Innovation Fair. At 30, he had built Horizon Technologies from a struggling startup into a regional powerhouse. Today's keynote speech would unveil their newest sustainable energy initiative, a project that could transform the company from successful to industry-leading. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker, the founder and CEO of Horizon Technologies, Jonathan Reed. Applause filled the convention center as Jonathan approached the podium, flashing his practiced smile. The audience saw confidence, success, the American dream personified. None could see the emptiness that followed him home each night to his minimalist penthouse apartment. His speech went flawlessly, the perfect blend of vision, technical insight, and inspirational rhetoric. Afterward, as attendees mingled through the exhibition hall, Jonathan found himself drawn to the community section, where local schools and organizations had set up displays. The colorful banner of Riverdale Elementary caught his eye, or rather, what stood beneath it, a small boy with hazel eyes and a familiar dimple in his left cheek, intently building a structure from recycled materials. Jonathan stopped abruptly, causing someone behind him to stumble. He mumbled an apology without turning around, his attention fixed on the child who couldn't be more than 5 or 6 years old. "Noah, that's amazing. What are you building?" asked a woman supervising the booth. "It's a solar-powered dinosaur museum," the boy replied, his small hands working deftly with the materials. "See, these are the solar panels on the roof." Jonathan felt the air leave his lungs. The world narrowed to this single point in space and time. Noah. The name echoed in his mind alongside a question he had buried years ago. What happened to Olivia and the baby? Before he could process his thoughts, the boy looked up, meeting his gaze with innocent curiosity. The resemblance was undeniable, like looking into a mirror of the past. "Are you a scientist too?" Noah asked, noticing Jonathan's prolonged stare. Jonathan swallowed hard. "Something like that," he managed. "I work with technology." "Cool. I'm going to be a paleontologist and a robot engineer when I grow up." The supervisor smiled apologetically. "Noah loves combining dinosaurs with everything." "It's a brilliant idea," Jonathan said, his voice strained. "Robots and dinosaurs?" a voice called from across the hall. "Noah!" "Time to go, sweetie." Jonathan turned toward the voice and felt the ground shift beneath his feet. There she was, Olivia. Her hair was shorter now, falling just below her shoulders, but her eyes were the same deep blue that had once looked at him with love, then hurt and finally disappointment. She hadn't seen him yet, weaving through the crowd toward her son. Jonathan had seconds to decide, walk away or face the consequences of his greatest mistake. "Mom!" Noah called out, waving excitedly. "I made a solar dinosaur museum." Olivia reached the booth, smiling warmly at her son. "That's wonderful. We'll have to take a picture before—" She stopped mid-sentence as her gaze lifted and locked with Jonathan's. Recognition. Shock. Pain. The emotions flashed across her face in quick succession before settling into something harder, more guarded. "Jonathan," she said, the name falling from her lips like a stone. "Olivia." His voice sounded foreign to his own ears. "I didn't know you were in Riverdale. We just moved here," she replied stiffly, placing a protective hand on Noah's shoulder. Noah looked between them, confusion clouding his features. "Mom, do you know him?" A heavy pause hung between them. Jonathan could see Olivia calculating, deciding how much to reveal. "We knew each other a long time ago," she finally said, her tone carefully neutral. "From my hometown." "Oh." Noah seemed satisfied with this explanation, returning to his creation. "Olivia, could we—" Jonathan began. "We have to go," she interrupted, gathering Noah's jacket. "It was unexpected to see you, Jonathan." As they turned to leave, Jonathan found his voice again. "Please, just 5 minutes. Coffee, somewhere public, please?" Olivia hesitated, conflict evident in her expression. Finally, she pulled a business card from her purse and scribbled something on the back. "My number. Call tomorrow if you want to talk. But understand this. Noah doesn't know about you, and I won't let him be hurt." With that, she took Noah's hand and walked away, leaving Jonathan standing amid the noise and color of the fair, holding a small white card that somehow weighed as heavy as all his regrets. Bridges and barriers, the cafe was busy enough to provide background noise but quiet enough for conversation. Olivia sat rigidly across from Jonathan, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she hadn't touched. She had chosen a table near the window, in full view of everyone, a precaution that spoke volumes about her trust level. "Noah is at school?" Jonathan asked, breaking the tense silence. "Yes." Her response was clipped, guarded. "He's incredible, Olivia. Smart, creative. What do you want, Jonathan?" She cut through his attempt at small talk. "Why did you ask to meet?" Jonathan set down his coffee cup, forcing himself to meet her gaze. "I want to apologize. What I did was unforgivable. You're right. It was." Her voice remained steady, but her knuckles whitened around her mug. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he clarified. "I just want you to know that I regret it every day. I was young, terrified, selfish. I was young and terrified too," Olivia interrupted. "The difference is I didn't have the luxury of running away." The truth of her words stung like a physical blow. Jonathan nodded, accepting the rebuke. "You're right. There's no excuse." A fragile silence settled between them, broken only when Olivia finally spoke again, her voice softer but no less firm. "Noah is the best thing that ever happened to me. He's kind, brilliant, and resilient. He doesn't know about you because I never wanted him to feel abandoned." "What have you told him about his father?" "That his father lives far away and can't be part of our lives. As he's gotten older, he's asked fewer questions." She paused, studying Jonathan's face. "Why now, Jonathan?" After 6 years of silence. He considered his answer carefully. "I've thought about you both over the years, wondered, worried. But I told myself staying away was better, that coming back would only disrupt your lives." He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture from their shared past. "Seeing Noah yesterday, seeing you, I couldn't walk away again. So what exactly are you proposing?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I have no right to ask for anything. But if there's any way I could know him, be some kind of presence in his life." Olivia's expression remained impassive, but something flickered in her eyes. Uncertainty, perhaps. "I've changed, Olivia. The man who ran away, I've spent years trying to become someone better than him. People don't change that much. Some do. When they face their mistakes." He leaned forward slightly. "I understand if you say no. I'll respect your decision. But I'm asking for a chance, not for me, but for Noah." She was silent for so long that Jonathan thought she might simply leave. Finally, she spoke. "Noah has swimming lessons on Saturdays at the community center. This Saturday, 10 a.m. You can come sit in the observation area. No interaction yet. I need to see if you're serious before I even consider telling him who you are." Relief washed over him. "Thank you. I'll be there." "This isn't forgiveness," Olivia clarified, gathering her belongings. "This is me trying to determine what's best for my son." "I understand." As Olivia stood to leave, she paused. "You never asked why we moved to Riverdale. Why did you?" "I was offered the position of head nurse in pediatrics at Western Regional. After years of night shifts and overtime, it was an opportunity for stability." A hint of pride colored her voice. "I finished my degree while raising Noah. We've built a good life." Jonathan felt admiration and shame collide within him. "You always were the strongest person I knew." "I had to be." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Jonathan with the bittersweet taste of a second chance he wasn't sure he deserved. The weight of 3 weeks of careful, measured interactions had passed. Jonathan had progressed from silent observer at swimming lessons to brief supervised visits at the park. Noah, perceptive beyond his years, clearly sensed something significant in these encounters, but accepted the explanation that Jonathan was an old friend interested in his dinosaur theories. On this particular Sunday afternoon, Jonathan sat on a bench watching Noah navigate the playground with determined energy. Olivia settled beside him, maintaining the careful distance that characterized all their interactions. "He asked about you last night," she said quietly. Jonathan's heart jumped. "What did he say?" "He wanted to know why you seem sad sometimes when you look at me." Olivia's gaze remained fixed on her son. "He's always been observant." "What did you tell him?" "That sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings about the past." She turned to face him. "But that's not going to be enough anymore." We need to decide what happens next." The weight of her words hung between them. Jonathan had dreaded and anticipated this moment in equal measure. "I've been thinking about that a lot," he admitted. "About what I want, what's fair to ask, what's best for Noah. And I want to be part of his life as much as you'll allow. I know I have no right to ask for father status after abandoning that responsibility, but I want him to know the truth, eventually. On your terms, when you think he's ready." Olivia was silent for a long moment, watching Noah attempt to climb the spiderweb structure. "I've built my life around protecting him," she finally said. "From disappointment, from feeling unwanted. The thought of telling him you're his father terrifies me. What if you change your mind again? What if he gets attached and you realize fatherhood isn't what you expected?" "I won't disappear," Jonathan promised. "I know my word means nothing to you, but I've spent 6 years building a company based on commitment and integrity, trying to become a man who keeps his promises." "Words are easy, Jonathan. Then let me prove it with actions. I've already looked into legally establishing paternity and setting up a trust for Noah's education. I've adjusted my work schedule to be available whenever you'll allow visits." "I'm committed, Olivia," she raised an eyebrow. "You've been busy." "I'm trying to show you I'm serious, but I know trust has to be earned." Olivia sighed, a sound that carried years of solitary decisions and responsibilities. "I need to know why you left. The real reason. Not just that you were scared. Everyone's scared when they find out they're becoming a parent." Jonathan stared at his hands. The question he'd dreaded finally spoken aloud. "My father," he began slowly, "was a man who dreamed big and failed bigger. Every business venture, every get-rich-quick scheme, they all collapsed. We moved constantly, always running from debt collectors. My mother worked herself to exhaustion picking up the pieces." He paused, organizing painful memories. "When you told me you were pregnant, all I could see was history repeating itself. I was broke, barely keeping my first business attempt afloat, working 18-hour days. I convinced myself you and the baby would be better off without me dragging you down." "That wasn't your decision to make alone," Olivia said, but her tone had softened slightly. "I know that now. It was the worst mistake of my life. And I've paid for it every day since, knowing I missed his first words, first steps, all the moments that make a life." Noah's voice interrupted their conversation, calling from the top of the play structure, "Mom! Jonathan, look how high I am!" They both waved, automatic smiles masking their emotional conversation. "He likes you," Olivia acknowledged, "and I can see you care about him." "More than I thought possible." She took a deep breath. "I think we should tell him. Not immediately, but soon. Start with the fact that you're his father, answer his questions honestly, and build from there." Jonathan felt hope surge within him. "Thank you, Olivia. I promise you won't regret this." "Don't make promises yet," she warned. "This is just the beginning of a very complicated journey." As Noah ran back toward them, face flushed with excitement, Jonathan recognized the truth in her words. The hardest part wasn't finding his son, it was becoming the father his son deserved. Foundations of Tomorrow. The winter festival lights reflected in puddles throughout the park as Olivia, Jonathan, and Noah strolled between food vendors and craft booths. 6 months had passed since they had told Noah the truth, a conversation filled with tears, confusion, and eventually, cautious excitement from a boy who had always wondered about the missing piece of his family puzzle. "Dad, can we get hot chocolate?" Noah asked. The word "dad" still new enough to send a jolt of emotion through Jonathan every time. "Sure, buddy." "Olivia, want one?" She nodded, smiling slightly as she watched them walk to the vendor together. The journey hadn't been easy. Noah's initial excitement had given way to difficult questions, occasional anger, and moments of insecurity that broke all their hearts. There had been therapy sessions, both for Noah and for Jonathan and Olivia together, learning to navigate co-parenting after years of absence. But there had also been moments of pure joy. Noah's face when Jonathan attended his school science fair, their shared excitement discovering dinosaur fossils at the Natural History Museum, and quiet evenings reading together, building the bonds that should have been there from the beginning. "He looks like you when he's concentrating," Olivia said as Jonathan returned, Carefully carrying 3 steaming cups. Poor kid. Jonathan replied with a self-deprecating smile, handing her a cup, though he definitely got your stubbornness. Determination, she corrected. The familiar banter comfortable now. They found a bench near the festival's centerpiece, a towering Christmas tree adorned with thousands of lights and ornaments made by local school children. Noah's creation, a paper dinosaur wearing a Santa hat, hung somewhere among them. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something," Jonathan said as Noah ran ahead to get a closer look at the tree. "That sounds serious," Olivia replied, blowing on her chocolate. "Horizons expanding, opening a new research center in Boston." Olivia tensed immediately. "You're moving?" "No," he assured her quickly. "I turned down the opportunity to lead it personally. I'm staying in Riverdale." Surprise flickered across her face. "That's a significant career decision?" "It is. But some things are more important than career advancement." He watched Noah pointing excitedly at ornaments. "I missed 5 years. I won't miss any more." Olivia was quiet for a moment. "You really have changed." "I'm trying." "Every day," he hesitated. "There's something else. The board wants me to hire a medical director for our new health technologies division. Someone with clinical experience who understands patient needs." Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Jonathan, before you say anything, it's not charity or special treatment. Your experience in pediatrics is exactly what we need. The position would mean better hours, better pay, and you'd be helping design technology that could improve children's health care." "I don't know," she said, but he could see she was intrigued. Working together might complicate things, or it might simplify them. He took a chance, reaching for her hand. "We've been so focused on being Noah's parents that we haven't talked about us. About whether there could ever be an us again," she finished, not pulling her hand away. "I don't know, Jonathan. There's still so much history between us." "I know, and I'm not asking for promises. Just possibility." Noah came running back, interrupting the moment. "Can we put my name in for the wish box? Dylan says they grant one wish from it every year." "Of course," Olivia said, standing and tucking her hand back into her pocket. "What are you going to wish for?" Noah looked between them, suddenly serious. "It's a secret, but it might come true anyway." Later that night, after Noah had fallen asleep surrounded by new toys from the festival, Jonathan and Olivia stood in the doorway of her apartment. "Thank you for today," he said softly, "for everything these past months." "You've earned it," she acknowledged. "You're a good father, Jonathan." "Better than I expected you could be." "That means more than you know." He paused, gathering courage. "About what I said earlier." Olivia surprised him by stepping forward and placing a gentle kiss on his cheek. "I'm not ready to make any declarations, but I'm open to possibilities." As Jonathan walked to his car, snow beginning to fall softly around him, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The path ahead wasn't clear or certain, but for the first time, it felt right. A family finding its way forward, building something new from the shadows of yesterday. At the festival, unbeknownst to either of them, Noah had carefully written his wish and placed it in the decorated box. "I wish for Mom and Dad to be happy together, like a real family." Whether granted officially or not, his wish had already begun its journey toward reality.